This video is a way of helping you improve your writing by making you aware of what words you use more than others and which words you perhaps need to look at the repetitive use of in your writing. So first thing you need to do is obviously have a document that you wish to analyze the words from. In this case, this is the manuscript for my next book. Make sure you save a copy of it before you do any of this, because some of the changes that we make here, if you were to save, whilst they're easy to undo, while the document's open, they're not so easy to undo otherwise. So save a copy, that one that you can then just delete afterwards. So have your document, have that open, have an Excel file open as well, and in your Excel file type up the list of words that you wish to check the document for, that you know might be some verbal tics that you have, written tics that you have, where they're just phrases that you tend to use a lot of. Now you can look up plenty of word lists online, or ask your editor for word lists that she looks out or he looks out for, and then have them in this column here. So for example, things like I in particular know that when I'm writing, and particularly when I'm writing dialogue, I tend to start a lot of dialogue with the word well, and so that's something I need to look out for, because the repetition of that isn't great. Similarly, the word that, most of the time, probably 80-90% of the time, you can delete the word that and without changing the meaning of the sentence, and actually make the sentence better and clearer. So that's a good one to look out for too. Just as well, again, just in some business cases is actually a word that is banned in some businesses, because it's clearer for communication if you don't use it. So if you just wanting to know this, rather than can you update me on this, it's just nicer and cleaner if you don't have it. Anyway, once you've got your word list and you've got your document open, you're halfway there, more or less. Here is my document. Now you'll notice that as it currently is set up, it's written, it's almost beautifully formatted, ready for effectively for printing. But what we need to do in order to have this work, you can't just copy and paste this text, because it'll try and paste it all into one cell in Excel, and then that will mess everything up. So what we actually need to do is make it so that there's one word per line. Now, rather than going through and pressing enter after every single word, which would take you a long time, particularly as you can see this document's over 47,000 words, we're just going to use the replace command. So make sure you're on the home tab in your menu, and then click on this button here called replace. Put in a space. Here you go, so you see how it's moved over. And what we're going to do, this thing knows what I'm trying to achieve already, is we're going to put in a circumflex and a P, which is the code effectively for an enter or line. So now we've got it looking for spaces, and it's going to put a line in, and we're going to hit just replace all. Now this may take a minute or two. You might even get a dialogue issue coming up, a dialogue box that pops up. If not straight away, then in a moment. So here you go, here's my dialog box. It's made a bunch of replacements. I can now close this, and if I look, now all the words are one line, one word per line, which is what we need. So we then need to select all the text, and we're going to I'm going to do that through just using keyboard commands, which is Control A, which selects everything. You can see it's all grey. Now it's worth pointing out that what the program is currently trying to do is repaginate everything and sort everything out. That's why it's got all these sort of blue lines. It's sort of going, this isn't how it should be phrased and everything else. And in a moment it'll probably pop up with an error saying there's too many errors. Here we go, which it's doing now, because it's the way you've got one word per line. It doesn't like that. You've got too many sentence fragments and so on. That's fine. Ignore that. That's why, again, I say to make sure you're just using a copy of your final document. So once we've got all that ready to copy, go over back to Excel, and we've got our word list. Now you can dump it in a column on the same page, you can dump it in a separate sheet. For neatness, I like to put it in a separate sheet, but again, there's nothing to stop you just, putting it in a different column on the page. So if I go to a separate sheet, go to my column, I'll go to my first cell, and then just paste it. Now this will take probably 2 minutes in this case, because it's a 47,000 word document. If you're doing a much smaller thing like a single story, short story, this would be much quicker. But because it's trying to paste 47,000 items into individual cells, that does take a bit of time. So I'm just going to pause the video while it does this in a moment. But one thing worth noting is that it will probably pop up with a dialog box saying that it's waiting for something from Word or from another program, like an OLE thing. That's fine. That'll probably pop up a couple of times. Let that happen. Just click OK and just keep waiting. As I say, you probably need to wait. In this case, I'll need to wait 2 minutes. In your case, if you're writing a shorter story, dialog box may not even pop up. It'll be pretty instant. So I'm about 1 minute into waiting for the items to paste, but here's the dialog box that I was mentioning, the thing that pops up. It says it's waiting for another application to complete an OLE action. That's fine. Click OK. It'll probably pop up a few times if you have a really large document that you're copying. That's okay. Also, as I say, just be prepared that it may take a couple of minutes, actual minutes, so go and make a coffee or something, and then it should be there when you get back. Okay, so it's pasted now, and that actually probably took about 4 minutes for that to achieve. So there you go. It actually was quite a long time. That's great. Now that we've got text in here, and you see if you scroll down, it's got 1 word per line. There's a few blanks in there from where there's additional sort of spaces and so on, but you can see the words. So now we need to come back to our main sheet where we've got the list of words that we wish to check for. So what we're going to do is called a COUNTIF command. So we're going to press the word equals. This tells Excel that we're typing in a formula. I'm going to type in the word COUNTIF and open the brackets. Now you'll see it's asking for 2 things. It's asking for the range and it's asking for the criteria. So the range is actually the document that we want to search for the term, and we're going to go back to our sheet here, click on column A, and you'll notice that up the top here it's saying that it's looking at this sheet and all of column A. You will need to click in this dialog box and then put in a comma, and you'll notice that as we've now switched from range to criteria. If we then click back on our first sheet, put in that we want the thing from the box next to this one, which in this case is A1, and then close the brackets and hit enter. And you'll see that I've used the word well 26 times in my 47,000 word document, which is probably, might be acceptable, but again, still tells me that, hey, I've used it 26 times. Do I need to use it that many times in, in that sort of space? From there, highlight the cells that you want, press Ctrl D to fill this formula here all the way down the column. Excel is smart enough to know that if you copy this formula into this cell or a lower cell, that you actually are changing the box that it's going to refer to that line. If you want it to be fixed to a particular cell, there are other ways of doing that, which is beyond this video. So we do Ctrl D to fill down, and then we can see what words we've used a lot of. So I've used the word "and" over 1,000 times. So in a 47,000 word document, if you think that therefore 2 out of every 100 words, more or less, are the word "and," always the word "and," that's a problem. That's something I should probably look at and go and try and reduce the number of "ands" that I've used. The word "that" I've used 621 times. As I said in the introduction, this is a word that can nearly always be deleted, so I've really got to go back and have a hard look at each use of the word "that" to see if it's justified in the sentence. Again, was okay, but if you're using tenses, the word "was" will come into it a lot, so that's fine, but something to be aware of, and maybe I can try and come up with other words. so 191 is something that I should probably look at, particularly if I'm using it as a clause, so this happens, so such and such. These are the sort of things that I'll need to consider afterwards. So from this point, there's really, you can either just have your word list and do it, but later on you might go, I'd really like to, there's another word I want to check now that I've done, got this sort of file there. You can just add that in. So if you, let's say, were, for example, type in that, maybe what's another one that might be a good thing to look for, or a character name. So if you have a character that, I have a character in one of my stories called Nishida, how much am I using her name, or your main character? If you're writing a novel and you're doing this, how often do you use that character's name, or how often do you use different characters' names? So in that same story with Nishida, I've also got a character named John. So how many times in comparison? Again, just highlight the last cell which already has the formula in. You can retype it if you want, but hey, let's keep it simple. Highlight the last cell with the formula in, and the extra space you want it to go down to. Control D to fill down, and there we go. So were, it's a good one. And then, so Nishida I used 99 times in that story, and I used John 49 times in that story. So she's the main character, that's her husband. That's probably fair enough, 2 to 1. For others, main stories, again, this can also really help you understand which words you're using repetitively. So there you go. Hopefully that is something that can help you with your writing. And don't forget to like this video and or hit subscribe to this channel.